The lesson today is on Proverbs chapter 31. And the title of our lesson today is Wisdom Prays for the Virtuous Wise Woman. And text is chapters 28 through 31, but we're focusing on chapter 31 today. Proverbs chapter 31 contains the best description of a godly woman. This chapter is divided into two sections. The first 9 verses describe the instructions that King Lemuel's mother gave him, one being a good man and a good king. Not much is known about this king. Some Jewish rabbis suggested names meaning that he was belonging to God. That's what his name means, is belonging to God. The second section, verses 10 through 31, his mother describes the kind of wife King Lemuel should marry. In other words, she's describing the type of woman that he should marry. The training he got, I want you to notice, most of his training he got was from his mother, which was the most valuable. He didn't get a lot of it from outside sources. His mother's the one he got most of his training from. This is a reminder that children receive the most valuable training in the home. And we have to remember that they're going to get the best training at home from us. They're going to see what we do, and they're going to follow our footsteps. If we're godly Christian people, they're 9 times out, they're going to follow that. But if we're not, they're going to follow what we do. Today our focus is on the second section of this chapter, which describes a virtuous woman. Now, the first 9 verses about King Lemuel and his mother. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. The identity of King Lemuel is debated. Some scholars suggest that he was King Solomon. Others said he was King Hezekiah, while others believe he may be a fictional king or ruler from another region. So there's not much known about this king. The mother's teachings focus on the dangers of self-indulgence for a ruler and the importance of exercising justice and showing compassion to the vulnerable. And then we go into verse 2. What, my son, and what, the son of my womb, and what, the son of my vows. Basically, it's a plea from his mother to her son to pay attention to her words. To pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. Now in verse 3, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth king. She's pleading to her son to do what is right, not give away his strength and stamina to a woman. Advising him not to waste his strength and resources on women who are destructive or immoral. That's the type of women they're talking about here. The verse suggests that giving one's strength to women can lead to a weakening of both physical and mental power, ultimately leading to ruin. A mistake that both Solomon and other kings have made. Solomon made a big mistake. He let the women, his wives, influence his decisions, and it just pulled him away from the Lord. In verse 4, it is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for the princes strong drink. It's a warning for kings not to drink wine or strong drink. Leaders that advise leaders that it's not appropriate for them to drink alcohol, as it can lead them to forget their responsibilities and corrupt their judgment. And we know this has happened a lot of times. If a person gets excessive alcohol, some may get brave and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Others, that's just not it's a bad idea. Let's just face it, it's a bad idea. Ecclesiastes 10:17, blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy prince eat in due season, for strength and not for drunkenness. Verse 5, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert their judgment of any of the afflicted. A person that makes this decision may forget the law and pervert judgment. In other words, and here, this law is not referring to the law of Moses. It's referring to a law that's been decreed or a law that the king has set up on his own. That's what it's referring to. In verse 6, give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of a heavy heart. This implies that the drink could be given to someone who's about to die and needed some kind of immediate relief. In other words, a lot of times back then wine was used as a medication rather than the way it is taken today. Let him drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more. The ultimate process was for him to forget his poverty and misery that was upon him. And that temporarily does sometimes. You forget your troubles and forget everything that you have, but eventually it all comes back. From a spiritual perspective, this verse points to a need for a more lasting solution than the temporary relief of alcohol. It's often interpreted as a way of directing people towards seeking divine help rather than turning to alcohol for true and lasting relief from hardships. Verse 8, open thy mouth for the dumb and the cause of all, such are appointed to destruction. They're supposed to speak and defend the rights of the destitute and act with justice and compassion for those who are oppressed and have no power to fight for their own cause. In other words, you're supposed to stand up and speak for them, those people that have trouble expressing themselves or standing up for themselves. You're supposed to step in and help them. And this includes everyday opportunities to defend someone who is being wronged, not just in legal or political matters. Job in chapter 29 tells us 15 and 16, I was the eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not, I searched out. In other words, Job's saying, somebody that was blind, I helped them along. He would help those that couldn't walk. And he was a father to the poor. And if he didn't know something, the answer to something, he would find out the answer. He would search it out. And in verse 9, open my mouth, thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. We have to remember, sometimes the poor and needy, they're defenseless and need someone which is stronger that can offer support to them. We have to remember that. Now we start with verse 10. This says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Here, virtuous probably means might or strength. There could be someone that has high moral standards. In this description, we will see both her physical and spiritual strength. Her goal, she makes her home a happy home. That's what her goal, her ultimate goal is. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. Her husband, he's blessed to have somebody like her. He can trust her completely, and that's important quality in marriage today. Constant suspicion creates a rocky marriage. If it's always suspicious of what you're doing, it can cause trouble. Verse 12, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She enriches his life and does what is good for him. She constantly acts on her husband's well-being and avoids causing him harm or acting with spite. Someone once said, behind every good man is a better woman. So, I don't know who that said that, but someone once said that. And that's true. There's a lot of truth to that. Verse 13, She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She's resourceful and diligent, works with a willing, cheerful spirit to provide for her household. She makes thoughtful, deliberate choices and puts in hard work with eager hands to meet her family's needs. Her focus was meeting the needs of her family, whatever they might need. Verse 14, she's like the merchant ships, and she bringeth her food from afar. She's thrifting, shopping for food where the best bargains are available. In other words, she just doesn't go anywhere. She finds the best quality of food, the best place, and that's where she shops at. She just doesn't take any old thing that she comes across. She travels far and wide to find the best food for her family. So wherever she can get the best deal, that's where she goes. Verse 15. She rises also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maid. It's her readiness to rise before dawn to prepare food and appointed tax for her household and servants. In other words, she gets up bright and early and starts maybe preparing breakfast, or she has servants. She gives them instructions on what to do that day. Romans 12:11 says, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. In verse 16, she considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. In addition to her duties the duties of the worthy woman is alert and takes advantage of opportunities to increase the family's assets. And she also makes clothing to sell. She does that to provide help, bring in income for her family. Verse 17, she girdeth her loins with strength and strengthen her arms. She takes good care of herself. She exercises properly to maintain her health and strength. This is a reference to a man who would tuck in the loose ends of his tunic into a belt to free up his legs for work. That's basically. And here, the virtuous woman can do the work of any man, and probably better in a lot of cases. She perceiveth that her this is verse 18, she perceiveth that her merchandise is good, her candle goeth not out by night. She was a willing worker who took pride in what she did and worked long into the night to produce quality items. In other words, if she started something, she stayed with it until she got it done. A lot of times that would be into the night hours when everybody else may be sleeping or everybody else is in bed. This highlights her wisdom and discernment in business. Verse 19, she layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the staff. These are items related to spinning and weaving. Such devices are not current now, but the diligent wife and mother still has much to do for her family in the night hours. So she's still taking care of her family. Verse 20, she stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She's not all about hard work and making money. That's not all her main focus. She's very generous and ready to help the poor and needy. Whenever she runs across somebody that needs help, she's willing to do that, plus take care of her other responsibilities. Verse 21, she's not afraid of the snow for her household, for all households are clothed with scarlet. She has a particular concern for her family in the cold weather, that they can be warm and not be cold. And the Scarlet that they're talking about it's a double, it's called with scarlet, okay. It's double thickness material providing additional warmth is what the scarlet is here. And then verse 22, she maketh herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing is silk and purple. She has a regard for her personal appearance in the things that she made for herself. Coverings of tapestry for her bed and clothing for herself. In other words, her husband doesn't come home to some slouch that doesn't take care of herself. This woman takes pride in the way she looks. She dresses properly, is always meeting her husband pleasantly, not some slouch woman that's maybe lazy, sits on the couch all day and does nothing. Verse 23, her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the altars of the land. Her husband is well known and respected for the virtuous wife that he has. Verse 24, she maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto merchants. This is a busy woman who also makes clothes which she sells to merchants, generating additional income for her family. In verse 25, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. We can see this woman is both strong and honorable. And why is she that way? Because of her obedience to God. That's why she's that way. We see her strength in her hard work. This strength and confidence this woman derives is from her worthy life. And we can go back to it's because of her obedience to God. Verse 26, she opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She manifests wisdom and kindness when she opens her mouth. Basically, she controls her tongue. She controls what she says, refrains from gossip and idle talk. In other words, she doesn't participate in that. She's never idle, because idleness sometimes could lead to trouble. If a person's idle and doesn't have anything to keep them busy, they can think all kinds of things. Sometimes that could lead to trouble. Verse 28, her children arise up, call her blessed, for her husband also, and he praises her. She's highly favored by her children and by her husband. They appreciate all that she does, and they express praise for her children and her husband do. They appreciate everything that she does, and they praise her for what she does. Verse 29, many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. This verse is saying there are many women that are virtuous, but the one woman surpasses from them all. Its meaning is that while many women live noble lives, the specific woman described in Proverbs 31 passage exemplifies an additional level of virtue, wisdom, and strength. The verse serves to highlight her outstanding qualities as a source of praise for her and her family, and she's an inspiration for other women, basically. Verse 30, favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. A lot of times, men could be taken by her charm and beauty, and these things are actually vain. Doesn't mean anything. That the foundation of her noble character is her fear of the Lord, which is submissive reverence. Such a woman shall be praised. And in verse 31, give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her and negates. This is a command to give her the rewards and satisfaction that comes from her hard work. It recognizes her diligent labor is meant to yield tangible benefits, and she has a right to enjoy them. And also, this declares that the righteous deeds of the virtuous woman shall praise her. So we've seen a lot of what the virtuous woman is. A lot of women are virtuous people, but this steps it up a notch. It explains what the woman does according to what the Lord is saying. So, and that's the end of the lesson. So I'm open for some comments today. Bob, do you have anything you can add?
Well, I was just looking back over the Proverbs that are prior to this. Mm-hmm. And if we take a pretty close look, we skipped an awful lot of the different Proverbs. But if we go back and we look at it and take it in the order that it shows, you see steps going up the line. Mm-hmm. As far as getting to this point. I think it was last week, I think we talked about the husband, I believe we talked about the man, and talked about the type of men before that, and mm-hmm. the responsibilities back along that way. And the whole way through this, he's not just taking something and slapping it together and saying, oh, today we're going to talk about the wife. But it was a step leading up to that. The man has to be a certain way if he's going to get the right wife.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Right. And if you go back to Genesis, the man was created first. Woman was created after that. Man had the responsibility over the woman. So throughout the proverb, we see this step in several different areas of life that bring you to the point where the man, and then now the wife, the type of woman she is, doesn't mean that she has to go around doing all the stuff that's here. It's just showing the fact that there's a lot of responsibility that falls on the shoulders of the wife if the husband is over here having the responsibilities over here. So that again is what upsets me about the way we have to skip so much, just so we can say that we cover so much material.
I know, that's a bad thing about this is
we miss what God wants us to know. He doesn't just throw out verses and say, these are more important than those.
No, they're
we'll go to this over here. And then we go for that. And then we miss everything that goes along with what we studied prior to that. And it's just a shame that we have to miss how these steps work in a person's life. Not just a regular man, but a king. Mm-hmm. There's certain things there. What are the responsibilities to people under a king and the type of king, what you can have under certain kings and what you're going to have to deal with under certain kings. And that's going to spread out to your family.
True.
What's your family going to do? A job. A man has a job. It's his primary responsibility to take care of the family.
True.
But what is the wife going to have to do if the husband runs into certain difficulties in his life as far as the type of responsibility he has to keep the money and food coming across the family? And these are the things that are completely skipped as we go through these things. Mm-hmm. And I just think that we need to go back and start looking at the Bible in the way it was written. It's written in lines and giving us all the picture, not just a picture here and there. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that I was looking at what we missed in all these other areas.
Yeah, there's a lot. You're right. There's a lot there. What we study today is it's like a guide of things that you can do. I don't know. I want to be careful in saying there's things that you can do to help out with your family and to take care of your family. It's all important. It's all important.
Frank,
Yes.
I think after reading this, most of us in this room are old enough that we can look at our lives and the world and the education we received, the workplaces we've been in, and we can see that the world has directly attacked everything in this lesson. They've told us everything in this lesson is unimportant except being beautiful, being smart, being the top of the line, whatever, instead of working to be a better wife, mother, caregiver, instead they placed priorities on being beautiful. So instead of working to help out the family, women are told you have to work to be thin and you have to be the world's ideal of beauty, which means you're going to buy the world's products and you're going to have the world's values. My thought is just look and see and then apply that lesson to the future, because Satan isn't done. He's still attacking your family. He's still attacking.
Oh, yeah.
He's read something like this and you get your ire up and you go, oh, how dare you, tell me how to be a better woman. That's the world. Yeah. Settle down, chill out, read what God's telling you.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to this. What we're studying today, this doesn't mean that all women are virtuous. They are. But this is just a guide to help them along maybe a little bit better. I mean, all the women in this, they're all important. They all play a vital part, and they all help. Without our wives behind us, we would have all kinds of trouble. They support us in time when I'm trouble, that sort of thing. So I'm thankful for the wife that I have. She stands with me and supports me in what I do. She encourages me. So, and that's very important. Amy?
Well, the facts are not all women are virtuous. They have the capability to do this, and this whole chapter is a guide. This is what you need to look for in a spouse. That's the whole purpose. That's the discussion with a mother guiding her son. These are the things you need to look for. You're not going to find that everywhere. Not everyone is virtuous.
You're right.
Yeah. It's just like a father guiding a daughter. This is what you need to look for in a man that you would want to marry. It's going to be that idealized list. Not every man's going to meet every point that's on that list, but this is what you need to look for when you pick a virtuous man. So, that's the point of this lesson. It's like not everyone meets these standards, and just being a mother having given birth to a child doesn't make you a virtuous mother. It's, there's plenty of situations out in the world we hear about all the time that are horrific. But as a godly woman, this is what you should strive for. As a godly man, this is what you want to look for.
That's true.
Your partner in life. So that's what this is about. It's about that guidance as to these are the ideals. This is what we should all strive to be, strive to look for ourselves, to have that family. This is what God designed.
That's right. Thank you for pointing that out. That's very important. I'm glad that you brought that up. When I refer the women in this room, as far as I'm concerned, are all virtuous women. You're right. Out in the world, there's plenty of women that are not that way. Anyone else?
Frank?
Yeah, Bob?
Another thing, Amy is 100% correct. One thing that we have to realize is that the man has to trust the woman.
Exactly.
The woman has to trust the man. And I remember people coming to me that wanted me to perform their ceremony. And I gave them both the husband-to-be and the wife-to-be a test. They had to go to a different room. They had to answer those questions. And then they came back. And then they could go home and we'd have another meeting. We'd sit down and we would discuss. The man and the woman would discuss. Well, I noticed that you felt this way about this. How do you feel about that? And you'd be surprised the differences in the individuals and what it would cause if they really actually got married. And they had to discuss these things. and then come back again, and we'd sit down and we would discuss how they came out on those things. It's not easy to love your husband all the time.
That's true, Bob. You're very true. Yeah. Ask Joyce. I'm sure there's times that she doesn't have strong love for me because I'm human. I mean, I'm gonna do things sometimes that upset her, and but our goal is not to do those things. But we're human. We're going to do those things, and if the husband and wife don't trust each other, you're going to have problems all the way through. Like you were saying, there's got to be mutual trust on both sides.
I heard some statistics just a few days ago about the number of divorces in America. Comparing it to divorces back several years ago and where they are today, up in the 60s and 70s, and the age when people get married today has a lot, because you've got, as you're dating, you find more out about how your husband-to-be or your wife-to-be is going to be doing when you're there. So these are all, like Amy said, there's so many things that can interfere.
Oh, absolutely.
This person might be accustomed to that kind of life. My kind of life as I was growing up was not something that, if I was somebody looking for me and looking back on my past, I would probably wonder about that, because there was no guidance in the early years of life that taught me where I could be, because I saw what happened to my mother.
Yeah.
Where my father was all the time. So did everybody else. And it's something you got to really take a look at.
You do. You really do. Would anyone else like to comment?
You also have to be aware of the deceiver.
Yes.
I mean, regardless whether it be male or female, you both have to be very open, and sometimes some people are sold a bill of goods, and
They are, and that's
not good. And,
no.
you know, somebody can be a slothful person. Well, how are they going to change if they have no ambition, etc.? Then how are they going to support a family?
That's right. That's right. And today, so many people, I've even said it, well, I can change that person. You can't. You cannot change that person. That's something that's misguided. Well, I can change, when we get married, I can change him. No, you won't. You can't. But God is the only one that can change anybody. And you have to be willing to change in order for that to happen. Anyone else? Okay, if we don't have any other comments, Perry, would you dismiss us, please?